Hello everyone and welcome back to another Guild Wars 2 video. Today I'm going to be talking about the recent balance changes that have gone into the game, how I feel about them finally now that I get to play them. So it's not going to be a really long video going in depth to the detail, minutia about the balance changes because I've already made a video. This is just going to be going down the list and talking about my standouts for the patch and the certain profession changes which I might not have felt stood out entirely or could have used more. So I'm going to start with my very first favorites. First off, let me take out my Invisalign retainers because it makes some weird noises in my mouth and I always forget to take them out. I'm ready. I'm not going to edit that out. Okay, first, my top two elite specialization, not elite specialization, but my top two profession changes are definitely the Revenant and Berserker. I'm going to start with the Revenant. Right off the bat, Ancient Echo. We're going to start with the baseline profession of the Revenant. The new F2 Ancient Echo is wonderful. It is so nice. The icon looks cool. It looks to be like a char raising their hand and getting some energy. But I've played with it for a little while now, and when using elite abilities or abilities that take up a lot of energy, you can just pop that and instantly get 25 back. In specifics, when you pop your energy, I don't know if it's called energy transfusion, energy explosion, on the Ventari tablet, the elite, it destroys the tablet, so you can destroy it, pop your Ancient Echo, and instantly get 25 energy back, and then you can just summon it right back up. There's not as long of a waiting time. You really only wait for the casting animations, and it feels wonderful. I need to test it more with Jalis and even Shiro, I would say, because those are the elites which drain like half of your energy and leaves you a bit vulnerable. So this will definitely help. And in some ways, kind of power creeps this class in terms of a baseline Revenant. Additionally, I will now talk, well, not additionally, but I will now transition into the staff changes and the Healing Orb and Ventari Salvation line. The Healing Orbs are so awesome. They are such a nice change. I was playing in Thunderhead Peaks earlier today, and I was doing the meta. And in large group scenarios, I've yet to take it inside a raid, but I would really like to. In large group scenarios, the Healing Orbs are phenomenal. I feel like I'm getting a lot out of them. I'm getting 500 to 600 explosion ticks of healing, which is wonderful. And in comparison, before this patch, I didn't feel like I'd get any use out of my Healing Orbs at all. So this is a wonderful change. Next up, Punishing Sweep was changed to Mender's Rebuke. This is actually a really fun skill. The staff changes and the staff animations took me a while to get used to, but I feel fine, like 5 hours in or so after playing. Mender's Rebuke, it's actually a nice skill. It's on a fairly short cooldown and seems to heal a decent amount. Nothing extremely phenomenal, but I would say basic, a welcomed streamline of the staff, though I will kind of miss the flip over skill. The Warding Rift, the third skill on the staff, that was the skill that took me the longest to get used to, because I was so used to having it as projectiles that I had to, when I used it, I was like, oh wait, why aren't my projectiles flying out? But then I realized at the end of the animation, it blasts out a cone of blindness. So that took some time. Then the salvation traits. First off, on a visual aspect, they're implementing new artwork in quite a few places, especially on the Salvation line. And I'm like, how long did this take to make this art? Because it seems like they managed to just like whip this up. All this new effort into Guild Wars 2 and balancing and just the wonderful details is really pleasing. I'm purely talking on a superficial standpoint because as soon as I opened the hero panel, I was like, whoa, that is cool. But the traits themselves actually are really awesome. Along with the newfound images, a newfound sense of enjoyment has come from the Salvation trait line. In particular, I really like Words of Censure. Censure. It actually works very well with the staff. And Generous Abundance, the Grandmaster. Oh my gosh, if you want to be an orb generator, just take that and you have no problem. Unyielding Devotion, I still kind of feel is kind of weird. It seems more tanky and seems better suited to the Chalice trait line, as well as Resilient Spirit. But I do understand why they have these traits, because Salvation previously gave you toughness to keep that sustain in combat. But I like playing a squishy healer. It makes you, in a way, more valuable to yourself. And if you can play well, you get even more chops. Personally, I guess. I don't know. Moving on to the Warrior. It took a long time. I don't really want to take too much time. But moving on to Warrior. Honey. I can't tell if I like Revenant or Warrior more. The Berserker overhaul was a unexpected delight and feels really fun and fluid. The changes to the way Berserker mode works is that you pop into it and then you can use your rage skills, if you have any selected, to sustain your berserkering mode and prolong it. I managed to stay in berserker mode, I think about like 30 to 40 seconds. I don't know how long. I felt very long, with help with a certain trait and also weaving in my rage skills. If you take a full bar of rage skills, oh, you're set. No worries there. The traits are a lot of fun as well. The trait in particular, Smash Brawler, I believe, it extends Berserk mode by 5 seconds. That is great if you're playing a power build or even a condition build that really wants to capitalize on the benefits the character receives while in Berserking mode. Other traits, I was actually excited to see that Eternal Champion wasn't just reduced to granting 300 toughness. It still grants stability and might when you break stun. I thought that they got rid of that. Thankfully they didn't. So that's just something I wanted to mention. Other than that, the changes to certain utility skills and bursts are wonderful. The Axe Decapitate and the Greatsword Arc Divider are so much fun. Arc Divider seems like it hits like a truck, like a semi, like a rocket, like an asteroid, like a whole planetary system. I was playing it in PvP a little bit and just hitting golems, and I was like, I feel like I'm doing a lot. If this was like an elementalist, they'd be gone. So, no, Berserker really is doing just that. Thank you, revving motorcycle. Moving on to the next profession, I'd like to talk about Ranger, specifically Druid. Druid was unexpectedly very exciting, even though Druid or Ranger as a whole didn't get a lot of changes. It was really just glyphs and like 2 core Ranger trait changes or tweaks or fixes. So it made me realize like they could have actually done a whole lot more with the Druid elite or spec traits, considering that they really overhauled Salvation. I'd be like, oh, why not just touch up some Druid traits if this is a healing patch, I guess. There's a couple traits in there which I would like to see maybe touched up or just completely changed. Anywho, the things that they have changed: Glyph of Rejuvenation feels a lot better, more healing. Glyph of Unity as a utility skill, not as an elite, is actually really fun. I was playing with it just a quick hot second, which I will be doing more when I have more time. But I was playing around with it and I was like, whoa, I feel like this works. My whole view was changed. I was like, what if this was a utility back when Heart of Thorns launched? It feels so much better as a utility. It's a very active utility, which I appreciate. And then Glyph of Stars. Oh my... Druid Spirits. I had no idea. The description gave it no justice. It has a beautiful animation. At first I thought I summoned a Ventari totem, but then it was just It was just a stone with more pillars. A whole different animation. It was so cool. And it's a channeled ability. I do have one, I guess, opinion about it. I think it should last slightly longer as a channel. As an elite, I'd appreciate if it was like, you have to commit to this ability. And maybe even buff it a little bit. In terms of like a little bit more healing. Maybe a little bit longer boon duration. Who knows? But I really want to feel like I have to commit to that. But then you could also argue that the celestial form, or celestial avatar form, doesn't last super long. So you'd have to really balance that out. Just thinking about the celestial avatar mode, I've always thought it'd be very interesting if there were certain methods of prolonging celestial avatar mode while you're in it. So I guess I guess it's convenient that Berserker just went through that overhaul, but now I can only question what that would be like on Druid. I don't know, maybe I gave a dev some ideas. Overall, Druid, just for the icon and the iconic skill effects and hopefully impactful effects, I say Druid is a delightful surprise. Moving on to my next tier down of impressiveness and overall joy, Elementalist. Elementalist is also ranked very high in my opinion. The dagger changes are so cool. The air, well, first off, let me start with fire. Let's go in sequential order. Fire, Dragon's Claw feels so much better. I feel like I can get a lot of use out of it now. I think that was really the only change. Moving over to air, the lightning touch was changed to convergence, and I was like, I wasn't expecting a whole lot out of the animation. I still think it's a little low resolution with what it actually is, but you channel a lightning to strike you, and I thought it was gonna be like some small little spark. No, it's like a whole Skyhammer mega laser, just shoot it down. But I couldn't help but notice that like the coloring was like yellowish off-white, and it seemed kind of low res. I don't know. That was just my opinion. In whole comparison of what they did with Glyph of Stars and just the overall expectation or quality of Guild Wars 2 skill animations and the detail that they have, I was kind of like, on a visual basis, it's kind of slightly disappointing, but I can overlook it because it's so quick and seems very impactful, and it's just a nice fun change. It doesn't really affect the whole experience that is this balance patch, but that's just something I noticed. Moving over to Earth, the new Ring of Earth, also the animations are just coming out like out of nowhere. I noticed that when you begin the animation, it's similar to the Earth Overload where you raise up on that rock and then you just slam down. It's just like spikes. It's so cool. And then the Earth and Rush, the Dagger 3 skill, also looks hella cool. You just like zoom forward and spikes shoot up behind you. It's pretty like self-explanatory. It's kind of what I was expecting or what I had in my mind, but it still looks really nice and feels fun. And then Swirling Winds got some changes overall. I think Elementalist was one of the higher ones as well in this whole balance patch. I think next I'm going to talk about... those were my high 4. Those were the top 4 for me. Next is like my middle tier, middle rung. I would say that would probably be Necromancer, Guardian, and Thief. I'm going to start with Guardian. I like the changes. I like them. They're good. The refinement to the hammer attack chain is nice. It feels more fluid. It doesn't feel like you're stopping animations. That's something that's always of my interest in a game, is how fluid are the animations? How fluid does combat feel? Is there weight behind it? Does it feel satisfactory? I think that they did a good job. Mace skills are good. Protector Strike. I was very confused at first when it says it fully charges Virtue of Justice. In my mind, that meant recharge it, But no, it just gives you that passive effect, like if you did like hit a target 5 times, your next attack will inflict burning. But other than that, oh, the spirit weapons. The spirit weapons were a delightful surprise. They feel very nice to use, actually. And I was using them more often than I thought I would. So, good on the spirit weapons. I still would love to see a healing spirit weapon and an elite spirit weapon, because I actually put the ritualist outfit and staff skin on my guardian. And I'm just like, now we just need a ritualist or a ritualist style elite spec. And I was like, why not the guardian? Why not the guardian? They have spirit weapons. Just give us a spirit weapon, healing ability, and an elite, and it'll be perfect. Though I would like it to be more support based. That's just a bias. Anywho, Zealot's Defense also is a nice buff. Feels good. Moving on to the Necromancer, which is a little bit below. Actually, I think the Necromancer is a bit above the Guardian, in my opinion, in this patch. With this patch, with Soul Eater, with the changes to Locust Swarm, and the changes to the Greatsword, I really want to do or craft a build that reminds me of a necrotic knight, a blood knight, a sustainable, tanky, hard-hitting knight character, and I think it's possible now, especially with the certain changes. Reaper's Touch, additionally, with focus. I was expecting the staff auto attack animation of the hand, but this one is fat. This Soul Grasp, the Focus 4 skill, it's just a fat, magnified, enlarged, necrotic hand, and it looks cool. I still would have liked a different animation, but, you know, got it. Reduce, reuse, recycle. Cut down on time. Hell, it's a cool skill. I still think it could hit a little harder, if I'm being completely honest, because it travels quite slow and seems fairly dodgeable. But that's just me. And finally, below these two, I'd say Thief. Mostly because I don't really play Thief all too often, but I do appreciate the changes. The traits are just... this balance patch really just affected the Daredevil traits. And also with the Steel F1 being changed to Swipe, I believe it's called. I thought we were having an earthquake just now. Never mind, that was just me, I think. I almost flipped out on... Anywho. I actually like Swipe. A lot of people were like, oh, it's so stupid. But I kind of like that it's just... It's a difference. Granted, it doesn't need to be. It is slower. It's lower range, but the unblockable aspect is nice. At least they did something with it. And I think Daredevil ultimately has a lot of survivability in terms of its dodges. It can still take Dagger Storm, and has quite high DPS in a PvP scenario, at least from what I've experienced. Granted, I'm not in the top tier PvP, but from like mid gold to platinum, I'd say Daredevil's pretty strong. One thing I'd like to say is that the trait icons, I've noticed that there are a couple of trait icons, one on the Warrior and now on the Daredevil, where the Master trait looks like an Adept trait. It looks like a hexagon when it should be a square. And so what they do to fix that is that they just put a large black border around a small hexagonal icon. And that really gets on my nerves. I know, I'm nitpicky, but, you know, details. It's all about the details. And I saw that Escapists, or Driven Fortitude, and Escapist Absolution has been combined to Escapist Fortitude, and they used the icon of the minor trait, which was the heart, and that was a hexagon, and it's trying to fit into a square, and it just looks all wrong. The proportion sizes are off. And Weakening Strikes as well wasn't even really... That is more forgiving, because that's putting a square into a hexagon, a smaller shape, a smaller resolution, so it kind of fits. But Driven Fortitude, fix the icon. Just use Escapist Absolution. It was already a square. Ugh. Anyway. And also with that, I saw that with Warrior. I think it was in the arms trait line where it was it looked like a minor trait, but it was one of the masters. Or it looked like it, yeah. So those were my those were my middle tier. And I'd say the bottom tier would probably be Engineer for me, because I never play Engineer. In all honesty, Engineer could be awesome. I wholeheartedly, full transparency here, guys, we're a family. I haven't even tried Engineer this patch, but I decided stupidly to make this video without even playing Engineer. But from the changes, I think that they looked good. Shutter Gyro, 30%. Honestly, actually, I think Engineer got it off easy, because I've been hearing that Engineers in PvP are still quite tanky, and that they've just really gotten buffs. There's really hasn't been a lot to take them down a little bit, but, you know, Engineer, it's still good, I just don't play it. And finally, Mesmer. Nothing really stood out to me with this patch for Mesmer. It seemed like a lot of nice nerfs, but there's of course a couple areas where they could have buffed certain things. Granted, mass invisibility change with the master manipulation trait is really nice. Super speed with mass invis, if you so desire. And yeah, I think Mesmer just was a nice nerf in general. Nothing stand out in terms of any reworks or changes to certain utility skill lines. No huge changes to manipulations or glamours or mantras or anything like that. So Mesmer wasn't awful. I think in terms of the health of the game, I'd say it's nice to nerf things from time to time. But in that same breath, I'd say, why not do that to Engineer? Why not do that to certain Necromancer builds, which utilize heavy condition damage in PvP and is quite a struggle to deal with? Why not take a second look at Warrior's Rampage? Because that elite is meta, and I was in a PvP match today, and every single time I ran into this warrior, it was Rampage, stun after stun after stun, instantly dead. I'd say, hey, nerf Rampage a little bit, make it to where the cooldown is like 10 seconds longer or something. I don't know, but I think Rampage is really strong. There are always things that you can nitpick and tune down, but I guess Mesmer got the short end of the stick this patch. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. That was a longer video than I thought I would make, but hopefully everyone has a nice patch day. Ritualist outfits, buy your War Eternal packages, and sign up for the newsletter to get your purple mask skin and all that fun jazz. There were some changes to PvP maps, Eternal Coliseum and such. There's a World vs. World event coming, so I might do a video on that as well. A little gameplay video. But other than that, catch up with all things Guild Wars 2. Make sure you're in the loop. Tell your friends about it. 11 million strong. This new advertisement, marketing push. Gotta get people in. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, everyone.